In this episode, I will go over some key considerations when building your business. These concepts are also useful when looking at managerial roles. Whether you're a startup founder or a seasoned business owner, this episode is packed with invaluable insights to help you run a legal and successful business. Listen in for more. Before we get into this episode, we would like to thank our Season 4 sponsor, Affirm Investigative Solutions, your go-to litigation support company. Without them, we would not be able to keep upgrading and integrating new concepts to this growing podcast. If you would like to take your support further, feel free to hit the support button on our Let's Talk Paralegal website so we can continue providing quality and empowering content for you and all our listeners.
Hey guys, it's your girl Eda, and welcome to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast. Today we are going to talk about something that I probably haven't touched upon on the podcast just because it's not really geared for specific topics. It's more for everyone to kind of take in the topics. However, I'm going to kind of tie it in for everyone. It's a topic where my following, especially on LinkedIn, as I've been saying this over and over again on the episodes, the latest episodes of the podcast, are looking to either pivot or grow their careers. So this is probably a next step for my seasoned paralegals or burnt out paralegals or anyone that's trying to look to pivot in their career, which is mastering a legal business, right? Understanding that we are not lawyers and sometimes that can feel like a limitation. So we're going to go over some 4 key points today to help you kind of navigate through that. Because, running a legal business, it's not about staying on the right side of the law, right? Sometimes we're scared to cross that line or we don't know where that line is. So building a foundation for long-term success is obviously essential, right? We don't want to open up a business and it not be successful. So we're going to guide you through that journey, and I'm going to kind of go over some things that I made mistakes on and that I've learned the hard way. So I'm trying to let you know that this is not something that you want to do, and definitely take my advice because it is what it is, right? I learned the hard way, and I'm trying to prevent that from happening to any of you all that are listening and that are looking to kind of wet their feet in this. It's not a one size fits all. This is definitely something that you can start on the side if you're not ready to take the plunge. So take these key points into consideration when you're evaluating your current situation and your current goals. Especially now, it's the beginning of the year. We're all focusing on what the end of this year is going to look like, or a couple years from now. Usually around this time is when we start really reevaluating, reflecting, and reviewing our life in its totality. So we definitely want to propel that and really ignite those thoughts and really put them into implementations stage. So, all right, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to start with how the legal business begins and how to prepare properly. We're going to go over some keys to take into consideration. And then I want you guys to keep this in mind, not only when you're launching, but even if you're just thinking about launching. This is something you might want to create a roadmap for. So let's get into it. The first key I'm going to give you to unlock your potential is choosing the right structure. I can't stress this enough. As a business owner, you definitely put yourself into a more challenging yet not so scary. I don't want to scare you when it comes to this, but you definitely want to evaluate your personal status as far as taxes goes. So I highly recommend that you speak to a CPA that is expert in running local businesses around your area. So whether that looks like a proprietorship, sole proprietorship, partnership, LLC, C Corp, corporation, whatever that structure will benefit you financially, right? You literally do not want to pay the price when it comes to opening up your business. So whether you're trying to make it formalized right at the beginning, talk to a CPA, make sure that that is necessary at this time, and really focus in on the CPA's advice. I highly suggest that you speak to more than one CPA, get multiple feedback on experts, make sure that they actually are CPAs for small businesses in your area, because it's a big difference say from Alabama to New York. They're different, right? So the taxes and implementation, even though it's at the federal level, the local level also affects that. So there's a lot of in-betweens that you want to talk about when you're choosing the right structure. So even though you may say, I'm just going to open up an LLC, well, what does that look like? Are you married? Do you have a legal spouse? Do you have dependents? All this can affect you in the long run, and you can literally pay the price for it at the end of the year or every quarter, or however you're trying to structure your taxes. You definitely want to speak to an expert regarding what type of structure is most beneficial for you at this moment. It can definitely change later on. It can definitely morph into something else later on, right? We all strive to grow the business and let it be successful, but let's start it off on the right foot so that we are building that foundation in order for that success to actually be an actual idea, right? Like it can actually come to life, and that's really what you want. So definitely interview numerous CPAs around your area that are, specialize in actually running businesses and doing CPA accounting, taxes for your local businesses. Make sure they're local to your area. So leading right into my next one is choosing your pricing and your services, right? So depending on how you are structuring your business, then you can go ahead and say, well, what am I actually trying to serve, right? What am I actually trying to provide? How is this pricing really going to work? So analyzing the way your business is structured, the services are done, and the pricing, right? So what does that exactly mean? Well, are you just going to offer paralegal services? Are you going to offer consulting, legal education? What does that look like at the beginning? Again, this can also morph later on. These are questions that you really want to ask yourself throughout your ownership and entrepreneurship journey. So this is just to build that foundation and build upon it, but these questions and these ideas definitely have to come to fruition throughout your journey, right? So, what type of services are you going to offer? And what is an actual realistic number for the pricing? So, what does that look like? What is your overhead? What are you investing in the forefront? Is it software, phone systems, internet? You're paying for all this ahead of time now that you're not part of an employer. So, think of what your employer typically basically provides and say, well, now that's my responsibility. Nobody's paying for that. I'm paying for that. So what does that cost on a monthly basis? What does that look like? Create a budget, create a realistic, how long does it really take me to do this versus how long do I think it takes me to do this? Start timing yourself, start putting a price on that, and really add all that up. And then that's going to, in return, it's going to give you realistic expectations and realistic pricing. Because just because you're making, let's say, $25 an hour now, well, you're not paying for all the other overhead stuff. So you got to take all that into consideration. You're not running your own business. You're not doing your own marketing. All of that, take that into consideration while you're choosing pricing and services. Another key to unlock is contracts. Whether you're working with lawyers, whether you're not working with lawyers, whether you're going to be a vendor, contracts are necessary sometimes. So understanding that you need to establish a strong, not only to protect you, but to protect the person that you are providing these services to and that you're pricing these services and marketing these services to. You want to make sure that you're both at ease and that the expectations are set ahead of time, and a contract can help you with that. So create a contract by however means you want to. I always suggest that you have it reviewed by a professional, legal professional, contract lawyer, and things like that. I personally do it every time I try to update my contracts. I definitely seek legal counsel, which is actually my next one. So when you're not a lawyer and you're running a legal business, you have to understand the risks that you're taking, especially in your jurisdiction. It's very jurisdiction based. It's very niche based. Immigration law is very different than personal injury. Family law is different than criminal. So definitely understand the implementations that you're putting yourself into when you open up a business. Again, this is not to scare you, it's to educate you. So really seeking legal counsel, making sure that you're not treading the line too close, that you're not doing anything illegal unknowingly, because the worst part is that you run a legal business and get into a legal bind. I mean, how embarrassing is that, right? So understanding that there are implementations that you might put yourself in. There might be situations that you're like, oh my goodness, I never even thought about that. So if you're going to sell certain things, understand that there might be other things tied into it, like a bill of sale. You might have to present that in your taxes. What does that look like? How do I do that? What software do I need? All these little things that you want to understand ahead of time. You don't want to learn the hard way. Again, definitely don't want to learn the hard way. It's very difficult to undo the wrong when you're doing that. So, in summary, in conclusion, what I want you to really take in from this is take precaution, do your research, create a roadmap. I'm not telling you to create a business plan, but really create that idea that's in your head, put it down on pen and paper, and consult with experts, consult with legal counsel, consult with the CPA. There's plenty out there that will provide free consultations. Take it. Take advantage of that. Again, interview multiple CPAs, multiple attorneys. Understand that there is that it's open into interpretation, and so you want to understand what those interpretations are, what your actual ideas are, what those what all that information is. You want all that information before you start establishing and creating that roadmap. And of course, as always, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to follow us. Definitely on LinkedIn, hit that follow button, and until justice is served, guys, I'll be here. Hope to help. Bye.